Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is July 16, 2021, and we are in the second installment of this weekend's Hanging with the SOCDEM video marathon as I take a break from recording audiobooks and get caught up on a little bit of what is going on in the pro-quote Scandinavian social democracy sphere. Basically, for these videos, to collect these videos, I went to the Secular Talk Kyle Kulinski YouTube channel, clicked the Channels tab. Shockingly, I find Kyle Kulinski is still promoting the Young Turks, for God's sake. Anyway, and I just surveyed some of the channels. He's got like 2 or 3 dozen channels up there, and I took a look at what he's promoting. It's Humanist Report, it's Kim Iverson, things like that. And then I just kind of scanned their videos from the last week, see if there was anything with interesting titles, and we're doing a whole bunch of commentaries. I've been having a busy summer, haven't been able to do as much content for S4A, and I also haven't been able to keep up with the news very much. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Let's go into our second cold viewing of a Secular Talk video. This one's called Forget the Culture War and Do Actual War.
So this clip this is really something else. The end of it is the most insane part because you have to really focus on what Jesse Waters ends up saying. But you're going to have Greg Gutfeld here whine and bitch and moan about the culture war. But it's kind of hilarious, the argument he makes, because Fox News is most guilty of what he's accusing others of being guilty of. But then the interjection at the end from Jesse Waters is like, I can't believe this is supposed to be a news channel. Watch this.
On in Cuba. We just had an assassination in Haiti. You got China making aggressive moves in all over the place. You got Russia and ransomware, which is basically cyber warfare. Now we have this Cuba stuff. But our press is doing all their trench reporting in the culture war. We are now so obsessed about our past and litigating our past that we're not looking around and we're not looking at our future and what could happen next. These are the battles that are currently being fought, but we believe that the battle is over non-binary toilets, right? And pronouns. And I sound like I'm kidding, but we are spending an inordinate amount of inordinate. This is important.
Inordinate.
Thank you. Important. Amount of time reckoning with our past as opposed to understanding what, imagine, if you think about pre-World War II, if we were obsessing over the things we were obsessing in America, what would have happened? Would we have ever, would have engaged the Germans or the Japanese or anything? We would have been, we're not able to do that right now because, Billy doesn't feel right.
Well, we never would have dropped the A-bomb on the Japanese, and that probably would have cost millions more American lives.
Okay, so Kyle's making a face, but let me jump in before he says anything with a few comments of my own. First of all, I don't know why this clip was particularly newsworthy, I guess. I know that the whole, Kyle in particular has taken on this thing of denouncing the culture war. So that's apparently a way that the, quote, left populists are framing things now as like, abandon the culture war. So I'm sure he's going to make some kind of point on that. But let me just say, as a general point, I found, when assembling the clips for this edition of, the Hanging with the SOCDEM Gang clip marathon, a lot of the clips that all of these channels had done in the last 2 weeks were like garbage. Like CNN reaction videos or just kind of dem boomer bait videos, and I don't know. It's a different world than I'm from. But yeah, so this clip, Greg Gutfeld, what he's saying there, I'm not that familiar with his career. I'm not sure what he talks about most of the time. What he's suggesting here, I'm sure I would not agree with his right-wing foreign policy takes. But, the U.S. is in kind of a tailspin. There was 2008. There's a whole series of wars. There was Trump. There is currently the COVID situation in a very badly handled response, still badly handled. By the way, I've done videos about that. Get the shot, keep wearing your mask, and keep distancing. Right now, we're starting to see hotspots appear. What's that? 10% or greater test positivity. That is more than 1 in 10 people getting a test turn out to be positive. Clark County, Nevada. There's other ones popping up around the country. This is probably going to be a gigantic problem by fall. Anyway, so this notion of getting away from imaginary wedge issues, which were dreamed up by the 1% and their lackeys to distract working people from the economic pillage and, all of the overt imperialism going on, to maybe try to right the ship. I'm not rooting for imperialism to do that. I'm just saying that, if you're an imperialist on Fox News suggesting, hey, maybe we should get back to reality at least for 5 minutes, is not an insane thing to say. Now, there is this notion of, like, at the end, having the courage to drop the A-bomb. I'm not sure that he's suggesting doing that again. If that's where Kyle goes, I'm not sure I agree that that's what was meant by that. But anyway, this to me just seems like such a standard Fox News clip. I'm not sure, but let's hear what Kyle has to say.
What? What? So understand what they're arguing there. Greg Gutfeld's like, we're so obsessed with the culture war, we can't even focus on serious issues. That's the point he's trying to make. And then Gutfeld is like, yeah, if we did that pre-World War II, we wouldn't have even nuked civilians in Japan. Well, then I wish we were talking about those issues back then, because I don't want to nuke civilians in Japan. Listen, guys, it's, we're not going to get into all of it here, but just understand the idea that if we didn't nuke Japan, that millions more Americans would have died. What are you talking? First of all, 1 million Americans didn't die in World War II. It was a lot. It was a terrible number. It was like 400,000. But millions didn't die. And he's like, millions more Americans would have died. No, the war was already over. The Japanese were trying to surrender. The nuking of civilians in Japan was a show of force to tell the rest of the world, to tell the Soviet Union, just so you understand, we're the craziest people here. We're the biggest, baddest dudes on the block. That's why they nuked Japan. Now, you don't have to take my word for it, but do yourself a favor and go read all the situation surrounding the nuking of Japan. Go read about it, because you're going to be astonished about it. You are. And by the way, the Soviet Union had more deaths of their soldiers in World War II when they were fighting the Nazis. The U.S. had 400,000. There were at least double, more than double actually, of Soviet soldiers who died. So
yeah, so try 20 million to 27 million. It's a little bit more than at least double. Okay, continuing.
So, to just give us credit for ending the war, or act like millions more Americans would have died, that wasn't going to happen. We nuked civilians, and the reality is we absolutely didn't have to do it. We didn't have to do it.
Okay, so I don't even know if he's going to get on to this whole, like, culture war narrative at all. So far, he's just talking about the A-bomb comment. I mean, this is Fox News. So people sometimes get mad when I suggest that U.S. socialists probably can't work with right-wingers. Like, anything you're going to be able to work on with them is going to be very, very limited. And then definitely anything having to do with socialism, forget about it. Anyone surviving on a Fox News information diet, and I'm not sure if it currently is, but it has been the #1 cable news channel in the U.S. So this is the kind of thing that conservatives are full of. So anyway, just if you want to double check this, go watch Fox News for a while. Imagine if your brain was all full of that. And then how much do you think a communist probably effectively can work with these people? Anyway, on some issues, maybe, but it's going to be real limited. All right. So, yeah, so you want to do reaction videos to Fox News. I got news for you. It's going to be like this all the time, like every 10 seconds. It's a never-ending stream of sewage. That's what it is. I'm sorry if this is like, brand new epiphany, but it's a constant stream of sewage. So I guess you could make an entire YouTube channel which is nothing but live streaming comments to Fox News, because there will literally always be something on this level. I don't even think what that guy said was like, anyway, I mean, by Fox News standards at least, this was the clip you pulled. So I don't disagree with what Kyle's saying, but it's also just, I think this video is pointless. Continuing.
Killing civilians is wrong. I don't care who does it. Killing civilians for political reason, that's terrorism. That's the definition of terrorism. We did the worst terrorist attack of all time, was the nuking of innocent civilians in Japan. And this idiot is like, if we were as silly back then as we were today, we wouldn't have even nuked civilians. Well, then, for the love of God, I wish we were as silly back then as we are today. It's so amazing. The guy is so brainwashed and so dumb. He's never heard a pro-America argument or piece of history that he didn't instantly believe. God, Jesse Waters is such a clown. And, okay, so now let's get to, what's-his-face's argument, Greg Gutfeld. So he says, we got all these serious things going on, Haiti, stuff going on in China, Cuba, Russia with their cyber warfare. By the way, the cyber warfare stuff is from, gangs. It's not from the government of Russia. It's from gangs trying to, get money. That's what it is. But he makes it like a government issue. But anyway, so he talked all these serious issues. Now notice, he brings up these serious issues. He didn't say anything about healthcare, didn't say anything about wages or unions or NSA spying or endless war that we should stop or corruption or climate change. Didn't say anything about any of that. Nothing about any of that. He was all the serious issues are Haiti, China, Russia, Cuba. And he's like, why aren't we talking about these serious things? And then he says, because we're lost in the culture war and all we do is talk about the culture war. And that's the problem. You know what? He's actually right. We are lost in the culture war, and all we do is talk about the culture war. But Fox News is the worst offender. You guys are the worst offender.
Okay, I'm going to step in here. I think that this is misunderstanding or at least mischaracterizing the culture war. They're not the worst offender. Literally, this was invented by far-right pro 1% interests to keep people divided. It's not just some mistake that they're making. Like they're otherwise, a participant in the system of goodwill and, they're just blundering into culture wars rather than focusing on the real national interest, blah, blah, blah. That's not what's happening. Their fucking job is to lie to people and to keep people ignorant and to distract them. I don't know. It's just, I wonder why Kyle made this video, because it's like, do you see your audience as having major overlap with Fox News? People who are going to be sitting down to watch this garbage that he's critiquing. I just, I don't necessarily see these people as being super open-minded or particularly ready, for some kind of major change in their political worldview. You're watching Fox News. You're at the bottom of the barrel. If you're probably contemplating a change, it's to watch CNN or something. I don't really get this, but I don't know. I guess I'm just waiting for the point to drop, so let's get back to Kyle.
On the same week that we had $1,400 stimulus checks going out the door to the American people who desperately needed them, Fox News was changing the conversation by talking about Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. You guys are the worst offenders, and you know what? You do it on purpose. You do it because you know you can't actually win in the realm of policy, so you want to change the conversation to some goofy social issue shit so you could look like we're the serious people and the lefties are insane. So the thing he's accusing others of being guilty of, you guys are the biggest culprits. You do it all the time. And by the way, yes, it's not, the issues he cites is like the real serious issues. No, the real serious issues that we need to address ASAP are healthcare and wages and unions and NSA spying and endless war and corruption and climate change. That's the stuff that should be on the forefront of everybody's mind that we need to fix right now. But instead, he thinks what? What do you want to do? You want to invade Haiti and invade Cuba? You want to do more endless war, more invasions? You want to do something? You want to fight China or fight Russia or sanction them more or get into a standoff and continue the Cold War? That's serious to you? No, I'd rather you guys actually talk about the culture war and be wrong on the culture war than get us involved in other countries in a nefarious and terrible way that would only exacerbate bad things more. So it's the Twilight Zone over there, man. This is a news network. It's a news network. Deeply unserious people making deeply unserious points. Insufferable.
And, I mean, this is not anything new. Fox News, there's like an old documentary from 2004 called Outfoxed. It is the story of how Fox News became ultra right wing. Their programming tended to be more on the trashy right wing side in the 80s and 90s, and then it went whole hog with Fox News becoming an extension of the Republican Party in the late 90s, early 2000s. They were just like, let's go for it. So, yeah, go check out that documentary if this is something of interest to you. But the point is, it's been going on for 20 years. I mean, you can go back to Bush-Cheney era stuff. Fox News was equally insane then. This is not new. This is not surprising to anyone who's been paying any amount of attention. I mean, again, I'm not trying to... It's not that what he's saying, Kyle is saying, is inaccurate. It's just... I mean, I guess, there's like this or that I would quibble with what he said. But, it's not worth it. We got other clips to watch. Whatever those differences are, they're fairly small. I guess I'm just like, this is what's filling up the channel. I don't know if there are still people who need to be told that Fox News is a constant fire hydrant of sewage. That's fairly obvious. You either like it or you don't. Unfortunately, way too many people like it. I don't have the slightest clue how to get people off of, the sewage fountain if they like it, because it seems to me to be like a great deal of willful ignorance going into that. I think that much larger things need to happen in order to pry those people away from it. Probably just shutting it down. This gets into all kinds of other topics of like, certain amount of people will just watch whatever, are just very susceptible to certain kinds of suggestion and manipulation that Fox News blatantly engages in, which is not journalistic in any way, shape, or form. It is overtly propagandistic. And I'm not saying they're the only ones who do that. They do it in a particular way, which certain people are susceptible to. It's very effective. It's working out very well for them. I'm not sure that, like, pointing out the logical inconsistency is ever going to work. People probably get that on their own. I don't know. There you go. Why do Fox News reaction clips? I'm not sure. Kyle Kulinski may have the answer. All right, let's get on to the next clip. Thanks for watching this one. Thanks to the current patrons whose names are on the screen. If you'd like to get your name on the screen, head to patreon.com/socialismforall. Otherwise, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for whatever you do, and we will catch you in the next video.